Oh, we've got a Kiva. You're so noble. Are you going to say hello to your adoring fans? No? Kiva, you're such a weirdo. Kiva is not a light dog, and her little paws are stacked. Ooh, okay, all right, here we go. Okay, Lord. You done messed up the whole beginning of the podcast, Kiva. Okay. We'll just do it like this. No? Ma'am, you got to sit. You got to sit. You can't stand up. It hurts. Stay. Okay. Fur's everywhere. Fur was everywhere. Hi, friends. Welcome to episode 84 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha, and you can find me anywhere online as Nadir Tani. This little furball is Kiva. She's probably not going to stay here. I'm coming to you today from my home in Central Florida, and today is Thursday, May 9th. I think that's correct. So thank you so much for coming to spend some time with us today. I really do appreciate you guys coming to hang out. That's really cool of you. Do I have anything for admin? I don't really have any admin, but we do have some bright spots. Where's my phone? So while I am scrolling to the bright spot that I was going to share for this week, I did want to mention a couple things that were bringing me lots of laughter this week, and it's actually two podcasts. One of the podcasts is not currently active, but I've just been randomly watching past episodes, and that is The Anxious Knitter, and that's hosted by Joy, and she's hilarious. So over the past couple weeks, I have just been let's watch an Anxious Knitter episode. And yeah, she does a segment called Dweeb Story of the Week, and they are always hilarious. Always. So go check that podcast out. Like I said, it's not currently active, but she has quite a few episodes, so you might enjoy. So the other podcast, well, I wouldn't really call it a podcast because it's not, okay, in my mind, podcasts have an organization to them, whereas this show is kind of just a chat and hang out kind of show, and she does them live, and it's called okay off. I can't. You're stabbing me with your little paws of fury. My legs are red now. Thanks, Kiva. Anyway, as I've been trying to say, it's called Chat with Crafts by Thee Rose, and it's hosted by Tina, I believe. And she basically, I think she does it every day, where she's just kind of sitting in her chair, just talking about stuff. And I've watched a couple of the episodes. They are really long, and she said that she wants to have them be kind of long like that. So if you're doing something and you just want something in the background, you can watch her show like that. So yeah, if you like that and you want to have something in the background, check her out. And the shareable bright spot, there's actually two. One of them is from Leslie, and these are both comments from last week's video. The first is Leslie, and they said that a shareable bright spot. I have just carded my first fiber using dog slickers. Thank you for the tip. You're welcome. If you don't know, typically when you're like preparing fiber for spinning, you have these, well, one way that you can like organize the wool and smooth it out is by using these wooden brushes called wool carders. The only thing about it is they tend to be kind of pricey. So years ago when I was first getting into spinning and drop spindling, Kiva, can you get out of the bushes? This dog is all the way in the bushes. There could be snakes in there. I can't save you. This is Florida, homie. Kiva, get out the bush. She's so far in the bushes was wrapped around her. She come walking out with a sash of Spanish moss across her. This is Spanish moss right here, by the way. Are you getting in touch with your wild side? Anyway, so yeah, you can like prepare the fiber using these wool carders that tend to be kind of pricey, or at least for me and where I was at the beginning of my spinning journey. It was just like, so I had found this hack years ago that was saying, oh, you could just use dog slicker brushes, which I have right here in my basket. Just like that. And use them the same way you would wool carders. So yeah, you're welcome. Because you know, all about saving a little money where you can. And the other shareable moment. Shareable moments, shareable moments, shareable moments, the Quirky Monday Craftcast. Shareable moments, shareable moments, shareable moments, the Quirky Monday Craftcast. The other shareable moment is from Caitlin, and it says, I've been lacking a lot of bright spots in my life these past 2 months, but if I had to pick something that made me feel better today, it was watching your podcast. I worked on something and focused on your calm words, and it made me feel at peace for a little while. So thank you, Kalisha. Guys, having somebody say that watching my podcast is like their bright spot or brought them peace or something like that is like the highest compliment in ever. Like, I'm so glad that you guys find like that comfort here. So big hugs to all of you guys. Caitlin, I hope that the last couple weeks have been better for you. If not, keep pushing through. Big hugs. So yes, that was everything for bright spots. A couple things that made me smile this week. A couple bright spots from you guys. Of course, if you have bright spots that you would like to share, leave them in a comment down in the comment section, and let me know that it's a shareable moment. Let me know if it's a shareable bright spot. You can also share those bright spots in our Ravelry group, in the thread that we have over there. And the group, and I believe the thread, I think I've posted them or linked them separately. If I didn't, there's a link to the group, and then you can find the thread in the description bar. So that is everything at the beginning of the episode. So let's get into what I have been crafting on. Sidebar, three things. A number of things. One, it is so muggy out here. Like, it was supposed to rain and then it didn't. It rained like 3 raindrops and then the sun came back out, so I think it's a little confused. It's probably just gonna like bust out. at any moment. So if this cuts randomly and then I come back on screen like wet and confused, that's what happened. 2, it's love bug season and they're everywhere. Would you like to see an example? Oh, okay. That's a love bug. And they just don't have boundaries. They don't. So yeah, if you see a love bug just land on my face, it's Florida. And I think the third thing was I'm sitting in a squeaky chair. It's annoying me, so I apologize. All right, finished projects. And I have 2. I've got my notes down here on the ground, which probably wasn't the best place to put them. So, okay, finished objects. I have 2 finished objects and I'm very excited about it. So the first one is actually a spinning finished object and it is tied up here. Kiva, if you get out the bush, things wouldn't be snacking on you. You don't listen to my words. But this is my completed Darth Scabrous. I'm never sure about how to pronounce that. But this is the completed Darth Scabrous spin. I got the fiber from the Freakish Lemon, and this is all of the blend. I started spinning this on April 26th and I finished it on May 2nd. It came out to 43 yards and 53 grams. The mini here is, it was spun on my spindle. I think this one was done last week, but it came out to 5 grams and 8 yards. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea what weight this would count as. Probably, I don't know, heavy worsted, maybe bulky, just to, yeah, because I've got some pieces that are that thick, and then I have other pieces that are just that thick. So, but I am really proud of this. Woo! Jeez.
Proud of this.
Woo! Jeez. I can't. Florida's trying to kill me. I'm really proud of this spin. This is my first completed spin on the wheel. Lots of learning. I'm just really proud of it. I need to figure out what I want to do with this or what I can do with this. So if you have any suggestions, somebody suggested using it as like in a purse or a clutch. So that's a cool idea. I've been thinking about trying to use it as like a contrast, like like a contrast yoke or something like that in like a sweater or a cardigan or a top. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to end up freestyling something because it might be hard to find like a pattern that already exists that will work with this plus whatever other fiber I decide to add to it. So that's that finished object. The next finished object I don't have with me because it is over on the porch drying in the sun. I finished the Prairie Wind Shawl. I am so excited. The Prairie Winds Shawl is a pattern by Jayalakshmi, and it's beautiful, guys. I am so proud. So these are the yarns that I made with it, with. This is the main color, and this is Oh Lucky You by Mitchell's Mitchell's Creations. And this is Emerald Way by Birch Hollow Fibers. I'll put in a video. Matter of fact, I could probably put the video in while I'm talking. Technology. Here's the video over here of my blocking Prairie Wind shawl. Now mine is about the body of my shawl is 12 rows longer than the pattern specifies, which made the border 3 repeats wider. I think that's how it worked out. I put notes on my Ravelry page. I actually made a Ravelry project page for this, so with like notes on how to make it bigger and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's bigger than it was supposed to be, but I love it so much. And like the lace is pretty cool. So the lace motif that is used on the, I keep forgetting the name of the shawl, the Prairie Wind shawl, is creates like little hearts. So I'll put in a picture of, like a close-up picture of the lace. So I just love it, and I can't wait to wear it. But yes, it's done. I'm excited. I did the beaded bind off. Let's talk about this beaded bind off, y'all. So beading the bind off was easy. The instructions are really clear. There was no question on like where I was supposed, actually no, there was no question on what, like how often you were supposed to put a bead. I think that I started my count wrong, because you're supposed to put a bead every 6 like bind off stitches, and I think I started my count at the wrong stitch. So all of my beads like to this side of the center of the shawl are like 1 stitch late. And then I was looking at it, I was like, are those centered? I don't know, I can't tell. So then I moved them back so that all of the beads on this side I thought were going to be centered, but they kind of look like they're 1 stitch early. I don't care. Nobody's going to be looking that closely. Also, I missed putting in a bead, the very first bead. I was like, oh, I don't need a bead here. I did need a bead there, but it's fine. What else? So the actual beading, I used, didn't bring them out here, teeny tiny beads. I think they were 6/0 size seed beads. I don't know how seed beads are done, but on the packaging it said 6/0. And I used, through the power of the internet and you guys commenting, I came to the conclusion that using a teeny tiny crochet hook was probably the best way to go. So I used this crochet hook. Can you even see how tiny that is? It is 0.75 millimeters. Now, even though this thing is so tiny, it still turned out to be too big for the majority of the beads in the color that I wanted to use. So what I ended up doing was sitting with all of the beads, like the colors that I wanted, and like sticking the hook into, ow, that really hurts because it's tiny and sharp, sticking the hook in the beads and seeing which ones it fit. So essentially I was able to bead half of the shawl with the hook, and then in order to use the beads that were too small for the hook to go through, I used a needle and thread. I just threaded the needle with like a short length of thread, tied the thread into a loop, and then I would put the loop of thread over the stitch that the bead was supposed to go onto, put the bead onto the needle, and then pull the whole stitch through I essentially used the thread as a large eye. I don't know why that was just so hard for me to explain, but that's what I did. And that's what I did with the last half of the shawl. And it took me about 2 hours to get the whole thing bound off, which somebody said on Instagram was fast. I feel like I was there forever. Another thing that I realized when I got ready to do this bind off is that you're supposed to bind off with a 6mm needle, and I typically like to knit on metal needles, and I use the Chalgu lace, red lace needles, and the largest size I had was 5. So part of me was like, okay, Ecclesia, just wait till tomorrow, go to the yarn store and get a size 6, because or get a 6mm, because you'll use it again, it's fine. But the bigger part of me was like, nah bruh, let's finish this tonight. So that's what I did, and I pulled out my wooden needles that I got, like my wooden no-name needles that I got on Amazon when I very first started, and that wooden needle made me want to pull my hair out. The tip was just so dull, and it was killing me. I guess it's time for you guys to listen to a songbird. Okay. Guess they were done with their song. So yeah, I beaded everything. I bound off with the wooden needle. I got a little frustrated, but I powered through. And now it's done. So once it finishes drying completely, it's pretty much dry because Florida sun. Once it finishes drying, I'm going to take a picture in it so that you guys can see it. And I'm so proud of myself. I'm really proud of myself because there were so many stitches on those needles, y'all. It was close to like 375. And I know that, you know, to some of you, 375 is not a lot of stitches, but to me, each row was just like, why? Why are you so long? But I had shown last week that I had put stitch markers, and at first I had like all of my locking stitch markers, like marking the repeats and everything. But then I was in Hobby Lobby and I came across these, and they are plastic rings for cafe curtains and tie backs. They were on clearance for like 74 cents. They are like the perfect size for like shawl size needles and stuff like that to use as stitch markers. And like for me, even though I know the locking ones were doing the job, it just made, like, it was more of a pleasant experience when all of them were the same and all of them were like round, because I felt like I could slip them easier. Maybe it was all in my head, whatever. But I got a couple packets of these. Okay, so that's everything for finished objects. So now we have, oh, there was a huge butterfly, but it flew by right outside of the camera view. Oh, come back, butterfly. Look at little Kiva. 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 Are you enjoying yourself? You enjoying being outside? Yeah? Okay. So let's go on to works in progress. Now that we're like however long into this podcast. I talk too much, guys. I'm sorry. Works in progress. The first work in progress is a sewing project. So I bought this, I think it was a remnant, this yellow jersey fabric as a remnant. And if you remember a couple episodes back, I had this floral dress on, and that floral dress was from a like make your own quick dress kit pre-cut situation thing that I got from Joann's, and I liked the way that the dress fit, so I duplicated the pattern so that I could keep using it again and again. Because of course it didn't come with a pattern, all of the all the pieces were pre-cut and you just sewed them together. So this is cut from that pattern. Now, I started doing this at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night, something ridiculous. And I only had like, I want to say half a yard of this fabric. So I decided to, instead of lining the pattern up with the grain of fabric, which it would have been a crop top because I didn't have enough fabric, I decided to turn the fabric on its side and cut crosswise on the grain. So this, okay, so the grain is this way. So this is the actual up and down on this fabric. So let's see if I can show you the stretch. Wait. I look so silly. Huh. So this is the grain-wise stretch, like that. And then this is the crosswise stretch, like that. So it stretches more crosswise. So because I cut the shirt on the crosswise grain, I was like, okay, so it's gonna be really, really stretchy, so I don't want it to like droop over the day, like as I'm wearing it. So I decided to use this bias tape that I just, like this random old bias tape that I had in my stash, like as support. But it's a bit too supported because like this part, it just sits straight out like that. So what I want to do, I think, is kind of sew it like that so that it's flat against that seam, I think. All of this is literally just like making it up as I go along, BT dubs. Also, the front kind of, as you can see, like it's sitting out like that. I'm not entirely sure why it's doing that. Probably has something to do with the fact that, I don't know, the way I cut it, like it's not supposed to be this way. So the fabric is just like, I'm gonna do what I want. But I really like this yellow fabric. I really like how it feels. It's nice and soft and breezy. Another thing I'm gonna do is, yeah, you guys can see that curve that's like right next to my face. That is basically where the, like, this is the line of the fabric, and then the pattern cut like this, and it was supposed to keep going, but because the fabric ended, it goes like this and then goes like that. So I'm just gonna kind of cut it off, Doop, like that. Yeah, so that's a work in progress. I don't know when I'm gonna finish that. I might not even finish it and just wear it as it is. We'll see, but that'll be nice for summer. Look at how breezy. Where is Kiva? She's really getting in touch with her wild side. So that's the first work in progress. The second work in progress I have is my retreat shawl by Dawn Henderson. I don't think it has had any real change this week, so I'm not going to show it again. By next episode, I should be into like the cable edging, so you guys will be able to see that. But yeah, that is my well, it was working as like my sock knitting, because it's just like, it's reverse stockinette on the right side, but you know, just regular knits and purls. But I put it down this week to finish up Prairie Winds. My third work in progress is a new weaving project, which is just in the very beginnings. And this is a mess. There we go. This is my adjustable loom that I showed a couple episodes back. I decided to put it together and warp it and see like how I liked working with it. So far so good. I think I figured out why it was on clearance, and that's because these little screw holes where you're supposed to put it together, and like this beam moves down. I don't think that they're lined up, so I had to basically screw it in with a screwdriver instead of just being able to twist it with a little wing nut. No big deal. So basically what we have here is just the very beginnings of this piece. I decided to put some fringe on the bottom, and the very loose plan is I want there to be like a heart in the middle here, and then I'm going to use different shades of brown for the background. I didn't bring it out. I have this like gold, not gold, it's like tannish gold fun fur that I wanted to put in the heart, like originally, like hold the fun fur double with just like a regular acrylic worsted, and I wanted that to be the heart at first. But then I also have this like acrylic roving, and I think it would be really cool if I did like the heart in like a, what is it called? A loop stitch or a pile stitch, so that it'll be like really, really puffy. Because like either way I go, the background is going to be a plain weave, so it'll be very flat, and then whatever the heart is, it's going to be like super textured. And I just really love that juxtaposition of that like super textural inside and then like a flat outside. Yeah, but we'll see. Like I said, it's a very loose plan, so I might just end up doing something else. With these kind of projects, I like to just go with the flow, you know, because that's what these are for. Like these are for like good feeling, free, crafty time. So yes, I think that's all of my works in progress. Checking the notes. Yes, so let's go on to maker plans. I have three big maker plans. Big. I'm doing a lot of air quotes this one. But the first maker plan that I have is I am restarting my the Heights sweater. Yeah, I think that's what it was called, the Heights sweater. It's either the Heights sweater or the Heights top by the Dream Crochet. I started working on this maybe a couple months ago, and it got completely derailed. I'm not even gonna talk about it. It got put in timeout, and then I was like, oh, I'll just pick it back up. And then I was just like, nope, screw that. I'm gonna rip this whole thing out. We're gonna start over. So that's where we are with that. I am back down to a ball of yarn. But I'm gonna make this top. I decree and declare. The next top I have is the SUZE-ANNA RACERBACK. And I feel like I have been mentioning, oh, I'm gonna start this SUZE-ANNA RACERBACK like over and over and over again for like the past, I don't know. This is a project that's on my Make 9. If you're a new viewer, I set up a Make 9 at the beginning of the year, and it's called my Black Fibers, Black Threads Make 9. I haven't had the Black Fibers, Black Threads section or segment in my podcast for a couple weeks now, just because I've been lazy and I haven't been looking up stuff. But I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna bring it back. But the Black Fibers, Black Threads Make 9 is essentially 9 different black designers, and a pattern by each of them. So far, I have done 3. Is that true? I did the Belle Plain hat or Belle Plain beanie by Jeanette Sloan, the Summertime Tee by Tony Lipsy, and the last one the Main Star Shawl by Zakiya Robertson. Look at me remembering names. Anyway, I have been saying that I wanted to start this top, and it's the SUZE-ANNA RACERBACK by ELISABETH DESAMOUR, I think. I'll put it on the screen. But this has been the next one up on my list of things to make. And this is the yarn that I'm going to make it out of. This is Araucania Yarns, the Union base, a harmonious union of baby alpaca and tan geese cotton. So this is a gift from my friend Tiffany. So yeah, I'm going to start this week, either today or tomorrow, but I'm going to start this just because I have been saying that I was going to start it forever and a day. We gonna really get this going. Plus, I've really been feeling like doing summer tops because it's not starting to heat up. It's been hot in Florida, but I realize that I have a lot of like sweatery kind of like crochet and knit garments, but not so many like, breezy ones like this. Speaking of this is the Bad Penny top. I forget who it's by, so I'll put it on the screen. But this is the top that I made 2 years ago for the Great Unravel. And that was a mosquito. I made this 2 years ago for the Great Unravel, and that was a project or a make-along that you were to find a piece, like a sweater or something in the thrift store, unravel it, like repurpose the fiber or the yarn, and create another like item from it. So this yarn used to be, it was like a cardigan or something with a little button. So I frogged it and made this. And it's like a raglan top. The actual pattern has like an eyelet like pattern that goes through the ribbing at the bottom of the top. But because of the texture of this yarn, it's kind of like a ribbon yarn. You can't really see it, but it's whatever. So yeah, that's what this is. So yeah, I've really been feeling the summer top vibe. Another thing that I want to do, but I haven't settled on a pattern or anything, but because I've been seeing so many like lacy crocheted white summer tops, and if you want to see like a couple really cute ones, Constance of the Stitching Over the Days podcast like recently crocheted a couple really beautiful ones, and Lorraine of the Ellinesscrafts podcast also crocheted a white lacy summer top, and I'm just like, I think I need to be on this bandwagon. I think this bandwagon is calling my name. So, but we're staying focused. SUZE-ANNA RACERBACK is happening. The other maker plan is the Mental Health Awareness Love Bomb ribbons. I'm going to start making those this week as well. I put up on Instagram a picture tutorial on how to make the awareness ribbons, how to crochet them. So if you go over to my Instagram, there is a 1-minute video on how to do it. There's also a video I have here on YouTube, which I'll link below, of like a longer, more in-depth tutorial on how to create the awareness ribbons. And for mental health awareness, the color is green. So I will be crocheting a ton of green awareness ribbons because I want to pepper my environment, not even just my environment. I want to pepper everywhere I go with these awareness ribbons and words of encouragement on the tags. So if you want to see what ribbons and things we put out last year, the tag is MHA Love Bombs. Go check it out on Instagram. So yes, moving on to stash positions. We got some happy mail, y'all. So the first one I did not bring out with me because it's a box. And if you watch the Tatted Tatter podcast, it's hosted by Stephanie. She recently did a giveaway of these mystery yarn boxes because she and her husband are expecting their first baby in a couple months, I think. And she basically said to get ready for the baby and to make space, I'm getting rid of a lot of yarn. So she put together these mystery boxes and had a giveaway thread, and I won one of the mystery boxes. We'll put up a picture of everything that came in this box, and after I took everything out of the box, I tried to put it back in the box, and I couldn't, and I thought I was really good at Tetris. Evidently, I am not as good as Stephanie. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for all of that amazing goodness. I can't wait to play with it and God. Also, I am going to be taking some of the yarn that I won in that box and putting it into our Quirky Monday giveaway box. So I'm starting to stash yarns for giveaways and things so that when I have something to pull from. The next thing that I got, well, it's two things from two different people. When I first got my wheel, it's right next to me, which is why I'm pointing like this, but you can't see that. But believe me, it's right there. When I first got my wheel, I was talking about spinning and learning to spin and everything like that, and I was talking about it on Instagram, and I got a message from Kim of the Youthful Fiber Mill in Oregon, and she was giving me some tips when you first start out, you want to start with a natural wool or natural fiber, well, not natural, but basic. Don't get caught up in all the colors and the textures and everything like that. She was start at the beginning, here is a wool and learn the techniques, the drafting, the treadling, the learning how to spin consistently with your beginner, your basic wool, and then go traipsing off into the horizon of everything else. And she owns a fiber mill called the Youthful Fiber Farm and Mill. Yes. And she offered to send me some samples, which she did. And let me show them to you. I posted them on Instagram, so you may have already seen them. But first, can we appreciate this tissue paper? I'm gonna frame this. Is that weird? I don't think so. So yes. So let me get my note. So she sent me 3 different types, and she said she would recommend starting with the gray wool first. So this gray is Jacob wool. Next we have the black, which is Shetland. And she put in parentheses, this is from one of her girls. And I think this is my favorite because it really reminds me of my hair. Now, I was going to say it may just be the color, but when I look really closely, like, just kind of the texture just reminds me of my hair. But it's a lot softer than my hair is. My hair is very coarse. This is not a hair podcast. And then there is white. You can barely see. Oh, there you go. So this is, it says, I call this Willamette. It's either Willamette or Willametta Valley Special. It's a crossbreed of sheep that grows really well in Oregon. So yeah. So I've got 3 different fibers to practice with and to kind of see like what I like, how they feel. One thing that I'm really enjoying about like what I'm doing with my spinning right now is that I am doing a lot of experimentation, like different ways of drafting, different ways of preparing the fibers, different speeds of treadling, different tensions with the break bands and everything like that. So I'm really enjoying the learning process that it's taking. So this is Youthful Fiber Farm and Mill information. I will link them down below, their Instagram and their website. So yeah, that's really cool. Like, see, no boundaries, none. That was on the inside of my glasses. Okay, so still on the fibery spectrum of things, I received some goodies. Well, is it some? Technically it's the same thing, but it's 2 of them. So I got these from Evelyn, and I think her Instagram is Evelyn B Knits. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. But she said that she got this fiber at Maryland Sheep and Wool a couple years ago, which I'm gonna come to a Maryland Sheep and Wool one of these years because my family is in Delaware, so I want to go. Man, the North has all the cool stuff. But anyway, she bought this fiber at a Maryland Sheep and Wool, love bug, and it had just been sitting in her stash. She told me that she also got a good laugh at me being so excited about my new wheel, and she also used to spin on a Babe spinning wheel. So she sent this to me because she was like, you know, I want it to be used. It's too pretty to just be sitting in the stash. And she was absolutely correct. This is freaking beautiful. Well, let's squish it this way then. Oh, I dropped it. You can't even see because of the glare. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. So, it is a beautiful gradient. I feel like when I take it out of this bag, I'm gonna have to take like a really like pretty picture of it and frame that also, because this gradient is just so beautiful. Like, I don't even think it's showing up correctly, but where this blue blends into this green, this color right here is just giving me heart eyes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I've got 2 of these. She said she thinks it's 100% merino. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna spin this because I haven't had to do any kind of color management, and yeah, so these are going to be in my stash until I'm confident that I'm not going to ruin them, because thank you so much, Evelyn, for this beauteousness. So yes. The last stash position I wanted to share with you guys are a couple patterns that I purchased. I just mentioned Lorraine of the Ellinesscrafts podcast. And I was watching her podcast the other day, and she was talking about how she's starting a knit along for her biscuit socks pattern. If you remember, we recently did a giveaway of her biscuit socks pattern. So for her knit along, she's actually made the biscuit socks pattern free for the month of May. So if you entered that giveaway that we had a little while back and you were not the winner and you would still like that pattern, go over and pick it up. Now, in addition to it being free for the month of May, she actually has two patterns. She has the biscuit hat and the biscuit socks, and they both kind of have the same slip stitch pattern on them, or slip stitch detailing on them. So I would encourage you, if you're able, to just pick up both patterns. Two for the price of one. So I did pick up her biscuit hat and the biscuit socks. So my plan for them is to make them like a matching set. So I don't know how I'm gonna work that out. I haven't planned anything past that, but since she's doing the knit along this month, I might just go ahead and knit a pair of biscuit socks and then do the hat later. But yeah, I wanted to mention that as my last stash acquisition. So, okay, so I keep forgetting to show this, and I haven't posted it on Instagram. I got it in the mail like a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, and it is a postcard from Heather, who was one of the winners from the Pisces season make-along we had earlier this year. And she said, I came across this quote and had to make it into a card for you. And the quote is, "Don't worry if you make waves simply by being yourself. The moon does it all the time." And this is what it looks like. So I've been carrying this around in my notebook, and thank you so much, Heather. That was very sweet of you. Next, we will talk about spinning. Now, y'all let me know how you feel about this. So, I cannot. Two times in this episode of Bug, no, 3 times. There is a giant flying bug in my, okay, it's gone. 3 times in this episode, a bug has flown into my face. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just sitting here, minding my own business. So many people have commented how they're like, oh man, I'm so jealous that you get to sit outside in the sun. Yeah, you get the sun, but you also get all of the critters. I don't even remember what I was saying. Spinning. Okay. Y'all let me know what you think about this idea. Because I've been doing so much experimentation and learning with spinning, and there's like so much more information that I'm like taking in on the spinning front, I thought about separating the spinning into its own video. What do you think? Let me know. Because I don't want my podcast to be like super long, and right now in recording before editing, I'm at an hour. And I haven't even talked about spinning yet, and I have words. So let me know if it would be, like, if you like the idea of me separating out spinning and having like a spinning video, where I get like in depth into like what I'm learning and what I'm doing with the spinning, and then on the podcast just kind of showing you like, this is what I'm doing right now and this is what it looks like. Yeah, let me know. Because one of the things that I really appreciate about you guys is in the comments here and the comments on Instagram, I've been getting a lot of like tips and information and help and stuff like that, and I want to kind of localize it, because a couple people have said to me that seeing me start this spinning journey has like encourage them to start spinning. And I am noticing like more people are spinning, like just actively spinning right now, maybe because, you know, it's getting warmer in other places, so we're kind of like putting down the crochet and the knitting and picking up other like less bulky projects. Maybe that's what's going on. Also, sidebar, there is a spin and make along that's happening through Grace of Babel's Traveling Yarn podcast and Mina of the Knitting Expat. They are co-hosting the spin and make along, which is essentially encouraging people to spin yarn with the goal of making a particular thing from that yarn. So go to their podcast, get the details if that's something that you want to participate in. But because there's so much more spinning, I'm like, I could have like a little 15-20 minute video where I'm just talking about the new things that I'm learning. Now I doubt that it would become, or that it would be like a long going segment or featurette. Just that there's a lot of input that I'm receiving about the spinning, and I want to share it, but I also don't want to talk you guys' ear off in the podcast. So with that being said, let's get into this week's spinning. So first thing, last week I was talking about how my wheel like wobbles as I'm treadling and it like will shake. So I've been keeping my basket goods hanging on the back as like to weight it down. A couple of you suggested that I put sand in the base of the wheel. I did think about that like when I first got it and I saw how light it was. But I don't think that's going to work. One, because I do believe the previous owner glued it together. And two, okay. All right, these holes here are for the Lazy Kate setup. Love bugs. Go away. And I feel like if I put sand in here, it would make a mess somehow. But yeah, I've actually been spinning on it without the basket hanging on it, and it is comfortable for me to treadle with one foot and just have the other foot resting against resting on the base. So I guess I was just uncomfortable because I just started. But yeah, so I'm not really having too much trouble with like crazy wobble right now. Yeah. And then with the Lazy Kate, I had to buy a dowel. So I'm going to cut it down like maybe that tall, so that I can put the bobbins on there to ply from. So I'll have that project to work on. I have to find my saw. I don't know where it is. This week, I was watching Mars of Hey Brownberry. She is participating in the spin and make along, and she's doing like vlogs, just like showing her progress and showing how she prepares her fiber and things like that. And Mars is a spindle spinner. One thing that I took away from her first Smile vlog was the way that she prepared her fiber for spinning. She did what I think is called pre-drafting. Now, I have gotten some, I don't know if there's a difference between pre-drafting and fluffing out your fiber, but it looked to me like she was drafting the fiber before spinning. Pre-drafting. I could be wrong. I'm a beginner. It's whatever. So, this is some gray wool that I have. And let's say that, okay, so this is how it comes, right? When I first started spinning this, I was just drafting from here, and it was very difficult. So after watching Mars's video and seeing like how she was like pulling the fiber apart before she started spinning, I decided to try that. I also split this in half. So I had half the fiber like this, and then I would just kind of pull it a little bit like that, right? And it just kind of loosens it up enough to where it was a lot easier for me to draft it and then feed it into the spinning wheel. A couple people commented on the post that I put up on Instagram, and I'll put the picture here. And that picture shows the difference between how consistent I was able to spin the fiber when I pre-drafted it compared to the struggle bus that I was on with no pre-drafting. So you can see that comparison. There were a couple comments on there saying that it's very important as a new spinner to actually draft while you're spinning, which I'm still doing. I'm still like, I still have to pull the fiber apart or draft the fiber apart in order to spin it. I think maybe there was a thing where people were actually drafting it to like the full like amount that they would draft, and then just letting the wheel like twist it all together instead of having to draft while it was twisting. I don't know. That's what I was kind of picking up from the comments. But another thing that was suggested to me was to just pull the fibers apart sideways. So this is what I was doing, and I was experimenting with this last night. So I would spin from this kind of prep, and then I also spun from this kind of prep, and I was able to get like similar, similar thicknesses, similar consistencies. What I was noticing though, by drafting my fiber this way, just like straight up and down like that, and then drafting again while I was spinning, there were points where it was too thin here because of the drafting I had done prior. This one allowed me to keep the thickness consistent easier. Did that sentence make sense? You know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so that was my big lesson that I learned most recently with my spinning. So I will show you how much I've done of my gray fiber so far. I really love the fact that this wheel is so lightweight that I can just pick it up and be like, here it is, instead of having to like put in a picture to avoid like taking the bobbin on and off. I don't think I really have a problem with taking the bobbin on and off, but whatever. So that is where I am with my gray fiber. It's a lot more consistent, it's a lot more even, a lot less overspun. Like with the Darth Scabbers, I was getting a whole lot of like where I was spinning, like putting too much twist in it, and I'm not getting so much of that anymore. I still get a couple points where I have like too much spin or too much twist, but nowhere near as much as I was getting before. So I'm very, very proud of myself with this. So what I did, I got a couple more, I made a couple more nests, and so I have 4. Is this 4? Yeah. 3. I've got 4 more nests here that I'm going to spin onto this bobbin, and then I'm going to take that one off the wheel. And then I'm going to spin all of this onto that bobbin, and then I'm going to do a 2-ply. And I am estimating that I'll be able to do the 2-ply just with the more consistently spun fiber that I have on there. So I'm hoping to get through all of like the consistent fiber, and then when I get to like the struggle bus fiber, then I'll just ply that together with itself, and I'll have a little struggle bus bit. But I am really excited with how like this is progressing and how much I'm learning, and it's just been a really good experience. one of the things that I did in order to like compile all of these spinning experiments and stuff, especially when I share it on Instagram, because I tend to get more comments and tips and tricks on Instagram. I made a hashtag. It's Kalisha and the Babe. Just want y'all to know, when I thought Kalisha and the Babe, I immediately thought about that song from The Labyrinth, Jim Henson's Labyrinth. What's it? Magic Dance, something like that. And it's been stuck in my head for like 2 days. So I apologize if that song is now stuck in your head. But yes, so if you go on Instagram and you click on the hashtag Kalisha and the Babe, you'll see all of my spinning posts, and then look in the comments and you can see like the tips and tricks that people are leaving. And I think what I'm gonna do, whenever I post something that I'm seeing that a lot of information is being posted or shared in the comments, I'm going to edit the caption and like put like a little notice like tips in the comments or something like that. So if you are a new spinner and you want to like find this information, or if you're having this same problem that I was having or something like that, you can know, okay, let me look in the comments and see what other people are recommending I do. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So that is everything for spinning, I think. Let me look in my basket. I did spend like a couple hours earlier in the week prepping some fiber. Oh, I spun that. This is before I learned the whole pre-drafting fluffing thing. So you can see that like overspinning, it's not very consistent, but it's fine. You gotta learn, you gotta learn. I spent some time going through my fiber stash and like preparing some little bits for me to like spin up. And I guess this kind of goes into life and whatnot, because I had written down morning making for my life and whatnot. So Lamar, my husband, and I share a car right now, and he's a teacher, so he has to be at work at like 7 in the morning. On the days that I work, I don't have to be at work until at the earliest 9:45. So I have to get up with him in the morning, ride with him to work, which is a 30-minute drive. Then I have to drive back home, which is another 30-minute drive. And what I was doing prior to starting this morning making thing was I was just going back to sleep, especially on days when I didn't have to work and I would sleep in. But what I've been doing lately is when I get home, I will bring my spinning wheel outside, and I'll bring the dogs out and let them kind of hang out, and I'll sit and I'll spin. And I sit in the sun, so I'm getting my vitamin D, like the doctor said. But it's been a real peaceful experience. And this is another thing that I kind of, I give a nod to Mars, because one of the things that she does in her Instagram stories is she shares, I forget what she was calling it, but her word of the year is ritual. So she is creating these rituals that help to cultivate like peace and calm like within herself. And one of the things is like taking walks and having like calm moments where you just sit and you make. And I really love that. So I've started doing that in the morning. And so I think what I'm going to start doing is I have the audio Bible on my iPad, so I think I might start listening to the Bible again. My mom was also like, you should listen to the Sabbath school lesson. So I'll probably do that. But it's just, it's a quiet and calm time just early in the morning where I'm just really, really peaceful. So that's been where a lot of my spinning has taken place, or when a lot of my spinning has taken place. So let's see. So I have a big bag of fiber and old hand spun. I think I've definitely shown you these before. These are my first spindle spun fibers, yarns rather. These are my first spindle spun yarns. And in this bag, let's see, okay. So these are the things that I was working on. This is just a big ball of bits. So I kind of have an idea. I've been watching videos about art yarn. I don't know what you would do with an art yarn, but I want to make one. Or a lot. I don't know. Don't know. But with this, I've got this kind of idea that I could spin like spin yarn, and as I'm spinning, just like put bits of this in, and it'd be kind of like confetti. I could be completely wrong. It could go terrible, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So that's what that is. And then here, I have a bunch of blue fiber and evidently a little bit of brown. How did that even get in there? And that's definitely carded into it. Okay, here you go, birds, for your nest. But I using my good old dog slicker brushes, I have created these little bits. Typically what I would do with these, like after I've brushed them with the dog brushes, I would roll them into Rolags like that. Of course it would be a lot neater, and then I would spin it that way. Watch me not be able to unroll this. But I think what I'm going to do is just kind of use it as like this and just kind of pick off. So I have these in these different shades of blue, and then I also pulled this piece apart. This was all one piece of fiber that was like really chunked together. Love bug. Go away. So I just ripped it into strips like this. And I think with this one, because it is so, it's still kind of like really condensed, I'm going to be splitting it or fluffing. And I might even have to do some of the pre-drafting as well, because like here, this is really stuck together, so I could loosen it that way a little bit. And this is fiber that's actually in my mermaid lock. So I'll be playing around with this, and then once I get through that, through the gray, through the blue, then I think I'll be ready to, actually no, because this bat, I don't remember what fiber it is, but I got it at Fiber Artwork in Huntsville, Alabama. And let me see, where's the sun? There it is. Look at that. It is so beautiful. It's so like deep blue, and there's like different shades of blue in it. Like, it's beautifully tonal. So what I did with this is I added in Angelina, and this is just some like iridescent Angelina. Let me see if we can catch some sparkle. No, I got that at the Barn Yarn that used to be in Claremont. It has closed, sad times. But I added, oh, this looks so great in the sunshine. Look at how it's sparkling. It's like a disco ball. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. So, and it's just flying away into the yard. So I essentially put like a layer of Angelina on top of the bat. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but I don't have like a drum carder, which is I think how I would like to like thoroughly mix it in. This bat was made on a drum carder at the shop, but yeah, so there's a layer of Angelina in there. And I'm gonna spin a blue sparkly yarn. I'm so excited about this one. Like, and then because I got it so long ago, when I lived in Huntsville, I am like really nostalgic about this one, and I'm just like, I just don't want to mess it up. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of practicing before I get to this one and the gradient. But yeah. So in my morning making, I'll be sharing pictures and stuff on Instagram, like the different things that I'm working on. Of course, recently it's been a lot of spinning, and I did the beginning of that weaving in the morning making, and it's a new thing that I'm kind of excited to add to my maker life. I'm not a morning person at all, by any means, by any stretch. I'm not. So just the fact that by the time I get home from Claremont or Lamar Works, I'm pretty awake. So I'm trying to like use that time, because it's essentially because I'm not a morning person, and if left to my own devices, I would be sleeping during that time. These are like minutes and hours that are kind of like gifted to me in a way. So yeah, that's everything for today. Right now my video says that I've been talking for an hour and 28 minutes. Hopefully you have not been listening for an hour and 28 minutes. Hopefully I can get this cut down to at least an hour. But, or at the most an hour. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of my universe. Thank you for coming back time and time again to see what I'm up to. Leave a comment down below of something positive that has happened to you. If you want me to share it, just leave a little note that it's a shareable comment. And yeah, I hope you have a great day or whatever it is when you watch this. And I hope that your making is bringing you joy and peace and giving you something to look forward to. Until next time. Bye guys.